Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss the contest, that is contest 329 of Leetcode. So we'll be discussing all the questions, but the first two questions are pretty easy, so I'll just give an overview. Cool. So in the very first question they have asked to give the alternating sum. So for example, the element at the 0th index over here would be positive, then this would be negative, then positive. Similarly over here. So it's a very easy question, but in order to solve it, I firstly convert it into the number into string, because whenever there is a number given and I have to traverse over all the digits, then intuitively it makes more sense for me to actually convert it first. So that's the way how I do it. If you want to directly do it on the numbers itself, you can do it in that route as well. So where firstly I'm converting the number into strings, and then for the even indexes, so I'm starting from 0. 0 is actually even. So for the even indexes I'm adding the value to the sum. For the odd indexes I'm subtracting the value from the sum, and then I'm returning the sum. So this was the first question, a very easy one. Let's move to the second question. So second question is kind of implementation based, doesn't require much knowledge of algorithm or data structures. However, one thing over here is that the constraints are pretty lenient. So even if you have written a suboptimal algorithm, even that would pass. But over here I've actually used the order of nm algorithm. You cannot decrease it further, so order of nm is the best possible scenario in this case. So what I've done is, firstly I've taken an array. So for example, we are talking of the kth column, right? So for the kth column I've stored it in a vector, and then I've sorted it. So once I've sorted the kth column only in that particular vector, so I'll be having the sorted it in the decreasing order, so I'll be having the values, right? Then what I'm doing is, once I'm having those value, I sorted it up, and then I made a map called IDs. So what IDs is doing, it is mapping the older or the previous jth values that were not in a sorted fashion to the new values, right? So once I have those IDs, I'm gonna populate this IDs hash map uh, by traversing through that entire column and checking for the newer and older values. One thing I'll do is that I'll try to put this code in a Git repo maybe, and I'll put the link to that in the comment section or in the description so that you can have a look. Cool. So once I'm able to map it up, then the only thing remains is to populate my result matrix. So over here, what I'm doing is that my result matrix of IDs of I and j. So my the column IDs I is equal to score of ij. So I think it's pretty simple. I'm not going into much detail even over here. So if you still have a doubt, you can let me know. But it was actually a simple question. Let's move to apply bitwars to make a string equal. So the question states that you have two strings, s and target. You want to convert s into target, but in order to convert it, what you can do is you can choose two indices I and j, and then you can perform this particular operation. So for the index I, you can say that it is equal to si or sj, or operation would be used over here, and index or the element at index j would become si XOR sj, right? We can perform this operation any number of times, so that's not a constraint. After that, we just have to print true or false depending on whether it's possible to convert s into j by performing this set of operation or not. Cool. So this also wasn't a tough question, although I missed it once, but it definitely isn't a tough question. So what we are doing is, uh, since we can convert si and sj into target I target j by performing the operation OR and XOR, so one thing you can definitely know is that if you are having all ones, or if you're having at least one, so if your string s contains 1, okay, so let's say this is a string s, so it could be anything like 010101, cool, and this is a string target, this could also be anything. Also the length has to be equal. So what I'm saying is that if I at least have one, right, and if I at least have one over here as well, then the answer would always be true, right? Let's say my string has all zeros, right, and my target has some ones, right, some ones. In that case my answer would be false, because there's no way I can convert all zeros to at least one by performing any XOR or OR operation. Even in case of XOR or OR operation, you at least need one if you want to convert have answer one, right? So that then it would be false. What if my S has some ones, right, and my answer has no ones? In that case also, my answer would be false, or my target had no ones over here. Yeah. So even in that case, my answer would be false. The reason being that if you are having some ones, you cannot convert it into zero definitely. If you are having two ones, you can definitely convert it into 1 0. You can say that I'll perform the XOR operation for this and OR operation for this, or or, or operation for this and XOR for this. So then you'll be getting 1 0. But there's no possible way to convert a set of ones to all zeros. Cool. So even that is done. So basically what I can say is that if I'm having a 1 in either my I or either my J, right? So either I should be having it in both of them, or I should have it in none of them. If this condition is not satisfied, then I can say the answer does not exist. So that is exactly what I'm doing over here. Cool. Okay. So what I'm doing is, firstly I'm checking that first if the two numbers are actually equal, I'll just return a 1. That's the base case. Then I'm checking if the number 1 is present in 1 and present in 2. So it's present in S and present in target. You can actually change it if you want. It hardly matters actually. So it's if it's present in S and present in target, if it's like if I'm able to count, if I'm having a S in press S and press target, then I'll set it to true. Then I'll have to say if it was present over here or present over here. You can actually really simplify it even without doing all of this stuff. So what you can actually do is, the reason I did it in this way because I was initially using a different logic, so I had to run a loop. You need not run a loop if the question is so simple. So what you can say is count, okay, target dot begin and target dot end. This should be equal to 1, right? This should be greater than 0, sorry. Over here also you can say count, okay, you have to count once. Over here also you can say that count S dot begin and S dot end, and 1 should be greater than 0. So this would give you the same results. Cool enough. So yeah, that's it for the question. If both of the if one of the strings has a 1 and the other string does not has all zeros, in that case this would become 1. So this is XOR operation, this denotes XOR operation. So in case only one of them has a 1, this would become 1 and I'll return 0. If that's not the case, I can return true. Cool. With that, let's move on to the last question. So I actually messed it up a lot initially. I was using a 2D vector and stuff, 2D DP and stuff. Let's clear it up. That all isn't actually required. Even this isn't required. So I've wasted a lot of time on this. Let me clear it up. Cool enough. Even this isn't required. Cool. So the code actually was pretty short. So what I'm doing over here is that, so the basic intuition is that since I'm starting from my start index, right? So I have to give the value of the minimum cost from 0 to n minus 1, right? So what I can do is, okay, let me explain this particular question on the iPad. This is somewhat tricky, not somewhat tricky, but yeah, let me just explain this. So this is the array that is given to me. This has several elements. Now I can partition at any particular place. So I can say that I want to partition at this element or at this element, and also the number of partitions are not limited. So I can have any number of partitions, although I don't won't have more than n partitions because there are n elements in total, or I won't have more than n minus 1 partitions, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from my left, right? Start from here. Then I'm gonna say for each element, if I partition, then what would be the result? If I don't partition, then what would be the result? So this is the two cases I'm checking. Cool. So if I partition, let's say over here itself, then this would become a different array, and these array I'm not considering the result of this as of now. This would become something different. So I already know what would be the sum for this. I can easily calculate it. For this I can say that I'll maintain a hash map of my numbers. So as soon as I see that a number frequency is equal to 1, in that case I can say that my uh, trimmed trimmed array length would decrease by 1, right? So I can perform that particular operation. As soon as I see that my number frequency is equal to 2, that means there initially was an element that was having a frequency exactly 1, but now its frequency is becoming 2, right? So I can increase my answer by 1, increase result by 1. Cool. So by performing this, I can easily calculate the value or the duplicate at a certain index. So let me start over here. So firstly, what I'll do is let's say I'm at index 0. So I'll calculate the result that would be for this particular subarray, and then I'll ask my system. Though now the way I'll ask is through recursion, obviously. Now I'll say that if I consider this particular array as one of the first subarrays, then what would be the answer for this array? Now when I'm saying the answer for this array, I'm not restricting it to be a single subarray. It could actually have multiple subarrays, but that would be taken care by recursion. Now in case you don't have an idea about recursion and DP, so there's no point proceeding further. You can actually close this video right now even, because this question actually requires recursion, and I'm not going to explain recursion in this particular video. So then I'm going to say that I is equal to 0 is cool. So I'll be calculating the result only for this, and you need to tell me the result for this, right? Cool. So that is something I'll store. Then I'll say, okay, cool enough, no worries. Okay, then I'll say that my I is now equal to 1. So I'm considering this particular array. The result for this I'm going to calculate. You tell me the result for this particular subarray. Cool. Then I equal to 3 would be similar. And at each time when I'll say that this is the array I'm considering, and you need to tell me the result for this array, I'll actually be adding k as well, because the partition actually takes needs us to add the value k. So that's the entire thing I'm doing in this question. Cool. Let's move to the solution. So yeah, firstly I'm starting with the index 0. Then I'm checking that if I already have the value stored, right, for dp of start. So if I already, so dp of start basically means from from start to n minus 1, right? So I'm saying that if I already asked the system the value from start to n minus 1, so I would have stored it in dp, right? In that case, just return me the value. So int max is actually the you can say dummy value that I've initially stored. So if that has been overwritten, that means the system already knows the value from start to n minus 1. In that case, I'll be asking for the exact value. In the other case, if my start has actually reached the end point, so that would mean that it has already traversed the entire array. In that case, just return 0, because I'm saying that I've already considered the entire array. Now tell me the remaining cost. So the remaining cost is actually 0, right? So I'll be returning 0. Then n is actually the size of the array. Then I'm taking a CD. So CD is nothing but a duplicate array. Yeah, it's shitty nomenclature, I know that, but cool. Cool. Then I'm setting ones. So what the ones means is that in my current array, how many elements have a frequency equal to 1. So this is the meaning of ones, right? Then I'm starting a loop from my end. Okay, so end is another pointer, so it's like I and j, if you can say. So I'm currently considering the array from start to end, right? So I'm saying in my current array, so from start to end, each time I'll be incrementing the frequency. So this basically contains the frequency, let's say not duplicates but the frequency. Cool, sorry for that. Okay, so I'll be incrementing the frequency for that element. I'll check if its frequency is now 1, right? So now the number of ones in the current sub array has been increased by 1. But if its frequency becomes 2, then that means that initially there was a number having a frequency 1, but now it's 2. So I'll have to subtract it. Then my result would definitely be end minus start plus 1, that is the number of elements, minus the number of ones. Because over here the only number which we are not considering in the trimmed sub array is the number which appears more than 1 times. So for all the numbers that are appearing 1 times, I can remove them from the array. So that's what I'm doing over here. Then I'll say dp of start, or my I'm just storing the value in dp start is equal to minimum of whatever value I was having earlier. Or I can say that I'm going to partition at this particular index, right? So if I'm partitioning at that particular index, I'll ask my system for the value from end plus 1 till the end or till the last, right? And plus x. So x over here is the partitioning cost, which was actually k, I renamed it. Okay, plus res. So res is the cost of the trimmed sub array from start to end. And for this recursive iteration, I'll return dp of start, which basically means the cost from start to n minus 1. Yeah, that's it for this question. So this wasn't a tough question, but I actually messed it up. So it's probable, like Even you could have messed it up earlier. So let me know in the comment sections below if you messed it up or if you like the solution, and what do you think about this particular question. Cool guys, thanks a lot. If you still have a doubt, let me know. You can always join the Discord server. We have started like having good discussions over there as well. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.